Israeli forces have launched one of their largest military operations in the West Bank, killing at least 10 Hamas militants. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says the Israelis blocked the roads leading to a hospital with dirt barriers and surrounded other medical facilities. An Israeli military spokesman says the moves were to ensure militants do not seek shelter in hospitals. Israel says that it is rooting out militants in the West Bank, while Palestinians claim it is an excuse to broaden the war. This comes one day after the Israelis pulled off a complex hostage rescue operation in Gaza. The hostage was released from the hospital today. All right, let's bring in Gershon Baskin, former Israeli-Hamas Peace Negotiator, joining us now from Jerusalem. Gershon, great to be with you today. So what more can you tell us about this military operation that Israel is calling a counter-terrorism operation?
Well, with the war going on in Gaza now for almost 11 months and about 150,000 Palestinians from the West Bank who used to work in Israel and don't work in Israel since the beginning of the war, there are people in the West Bank who haven't been able to put food on their table for all these months because they have no income. That's creating a lot of despair and a lot of unrest. And the poverty is increasing. The Palestinian Authority is not functioning. Most of the Palestinian Authority people are not getting their salaries either. The economic crisis is always something that portends security difficulties for Israel. And as Palestinians are being killed by Israel in Gaza, Palestinians in the West Bank are responding. Young people who don't have work and don't have anything else to do are organizing in cells to attack Israelis, Israeli settlers, and Israeli army. And last week, there was an attempt of a suicide bombing, apparently in Tel Aviv, that did not succeed in hurting any Israelis, but the person who was carrying the bomb was killed. And the Israelis decided that they need to do some deep undercover work and above ground work by the army, going into refugee camps and cities and towns in the West Bank to root out any of these new cells that have been developed that might be producing another wave of suicide bombs.
And I understand today low-level ceasefire negotiations took place in Doha. Do we know if anything of substance transpired there today? And do you think the negotiators will be able to strike a deal in light of recent activities?
Right, there is progress being made on some of the issues, but the bottom line is that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, does want to end the war, and a requirement of Hamas for any kind of agreement is some kind of obligation to end the war. I would note that what they're negotiating is also not a good agreement. It's not good for Israel and it's not good for Hamas. It's talking about a 6-week ceasefire during which time 32 Israeli hostages would be returned, but 76 Israeli hostages would remain in Gaza. Hamas doesn't believe that the ceasefire would carry on after 6 weeks, that Israel would renew the war. So what are they negotiating? I don't know. There is a possibility of a better deal on the table if the negotiators take it up, the United States, Qatar, and Egypt. My understanding is Hamas would agree to a 3-week deal of returning all 107 Israeli hostages on the condition that the war ends, Israel withdraws from Gaza, and that Palestinian prisoners are also freed. This is the kind of deal they need to be negotiating, and then perhaps there'd be more motivation of everyone to get it done because we would have the hostages returned and the war would end. If the war ends, it will also end with Lebanon in the north, and I think there'd be a general relaxation of terrorism in the West Bank as well.
Yeah, and Gershon, we also know, quickly, I do want to talk about this, the U.S. has moved more warships and aircraft carriers in and around the Middle East as a show of force to Iran. Do you think this will act as a deterrent to Tehran, and do you fear that a regional war is on the brink?
The regional war could be on the brink. The American power in the region, both in the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, and the Arab Gulf, is a clear sign to Iran, going back to President Biden's message of don't. Iran will think 10 times before they attack Israel under these conditions, knowing that the United States will hit back. Even though the United States doesn't want to get into a war at this time in the Middle East, or at any time for that matter, particularly during election season, but it is certainly a clear deterrent. If it was just Israel by itself, I think we would have seen an Iranian retaliation of what they believe was the Israeli assassination against Ismail Haniyeh on Iranian soil.
Oh, Gershon, so much more we can talk about, but unfortunately we're out of time. Thank you so much, as always, for your insights.
You're very welcome.